Hello YouTube, this is Kesmaina. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a health and lifestyle channel where we talk about different health conditions and lifestyle modifications to accommodate the same. Karibuni. So we are still on the HIV and AIDS topic, and maybe one or two more videos. I don't know. I thought it was going to be a 3-part series, but here we are and I'm still not done. So buckle up. So this is the third video, and we previously talked about prevention. And today is also talking about prevention, but it's specifically talking about prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV and AIDS, PMTCT, that's what we call it in short. PMTCT, prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV and AIDS. Basically, PMTCT involves providing care and support for women living with HIV and AIDS during pregnancy, delivery, and postpartum period. This means that at whatever period a woman presents to a facility, they are tested first to determine their status, their HIV status, and then after that, the necessary steps are taken. If they are positive, they are put on a regimen that will help them. If they are pregnant, they are put on a regimen that will help them protect their baby from getting the HIV AIDS from them, the HIV virus from the expectant mother now. Okay, so now there are a few elements, or rather what PMTCT basically involves. And number one, it first of all involves primary prevention of HIV infection among women in the childbearing age. This means generally all the preventive measures we talked about in the previous video, that is PrEP, abstinence, staying faithful, avoiding drug use, health education, all those things that we talked about in the previous video, they are applying to this first point, because any woman in their childbearing age should protect themselves even before they get pregnant, so that by the time you're pregnant, you're already not HIV positive, and then there's basically nothing to prevent your child from acquiring. But then that doesn't mean that if you acquire the HIV/AIDS, it's all lost and done. There are still things that can be done. So the first point is making sure that we primarily prevent all the women in the childbearing age from contracting HIV and AIDS. Okay, so number two, we are preventing unintended pregnancies among women living with HIV and AIDS. Now, this is a group of people who have already been identified to be HIV positive. Now, if one intends to get pregnant, that's okay, and they are guided through it, and they start whatever regimen and counseling they need to start, so that from the word go, they are preventing their babies from getting the HIV virus. So this point means that we are preventing these same ladies who are already HIV positive from getting pregnancies that they did not intend to get, ile accidental too. This means that we are going to provide them with family planning or contraception counseling and advice and accessibility as well. Okay. Yeah, so another thing that we are preventing is preventing transmission from the mother to the child during pregnancy, or even during delivery, or after. That is after delivery, so when you're breastfeeding. This now will happen, like I said, did I say it? I don't know if I said it, but right now, any woman who is expectant, their HIV status is checked. If it's determined you're positive, you're already put on a regimen that will help you prevent your baby from acquiring HIV and AIDS. And if you're negative, of course, we encourage you to stay negative. And at every visit, we keep checking, because there could be a new infection or an infection that was still in the window period when you are being tested during your first visit. So we keep checking, so that at whatever point this virus is caught, you're started on a regimen to protect your child as early as possible, or rather as soon as possible. Okay, and finally, the final element of this PMTCT thingy is care, support, and treatment for women living with HIV and their families, including their children. Basically, care and support, that is with community support, care and treatment. They take their medication, and also health education continues even after the realization, or rather knowing that you have HIV and AIDS. Health education should be a continuous process, so that this person does not despair. They continue on with their life as well as possible. Now, you might ask yourself, sasa hizi vitu zote umetuambia, what next? So there are a few things that we as healthcare providers try as much as possible so that we can achieve all these things, or the goal? Yeah, the goal of PMTCT. So number one is the preventive measures we talked about in the previous video. That is health education, use of PrEP, use of PEP, use of condoms, abstinence, staying faithful, all those things. We focus on that first of all. Another thing, counseling on contraception and family planning, including spacing, because spacing is a big challenge, and especially if a person doesn't come from a very well-off background, that means that they might bring a child into a life of suffering where nutrition is not at par, and with HIV and AIDS, nutrition is a very big factor. It is something they are talked to about. Yeah. Another thing, HIV and AIDS testing and early treatment. It's caught early and treated early. So that's another thing we are doing to try and achieve the PMTCT. It's a proper goal. We're all trying to get there. So yeah. Another thing, we link the pregnant women and breastfeeding mothers to regimens that promote viral suppression, so that they do not transmit the HIV virus to their baby as they are breastfeeding, or even in utero, or even during delivery. Okay. Finally, identification of infants living with HIV and AIDS early on, so that they can be linked to comprehensive care for follow-up and all the necessary steps that need to be taken after that. Yeah, and then we also need to analyze and address barriers that barricade continuity of care. That is, for example, an availability of probably drugs, like for example ARVs, or the distance. Maybe there are not enough health facilities. Maybe you can see now the government is making sure that we have a CCCC at least everywhere. Even private facilities offer EOCCC, or rather PMTCT, not just PMTCT for the mothers, but for everyone. But specifically today we are talking about PMTCT. So we are able to try and identify those barriers and address them, so that we are able to continually give care to these mothers without causing them any distress, and without them feeling left behind as we are giving care to others. Yeah, so for today's topic, I think we are done, and I'll see you next time with the next topic, or rather with the next thing on HIV and AIDS, because I'm still going to be talking about HIV. So yeah, see you later. Yeah, cheers.